Adrian Wells had never believed in ghost stories. He believed in balance sheets, deadlines, and keeping his head down long enough to earn a promotion. That's what had brought him to Glassmere Tower in the first place. The firm's big relocation to the sleek, glass-faced office building was supposed to mark a new era of growth. Clean, efficient, state-of-the-art. But even Adrian couldn't ignore what people whispered about the place. Not directly. No one said these things aloud in meetings. But in passing, between sips of coffee and sidelong glances at the elevators. Floor 14. Officially, it didn't exist. The elevator went from 12 to 15, like so many buildings that dodged the superstition tied to the number 13. Yet everyone knew the janitors stored supplies up there. Or at least, that's what they said. Others said something worse. The stories changed depending on who told them. Some said a worker disappeared up there during construction. Some claimed the blueprints never showed a 14th floor, but it existed anyway. Some said you could hear phones ringing up there long after midnight, even though the lines were dead. Adrian thought it was nonsense. Stories made up by people bored with paperwork and endless meetings until the night he had to stay late. It wasn't supposed to take this long. A simple project, a few reports to finalize, some emails to catch up on. But the time slipped past him, and by the time he looked up from his screen, the office was empty. Not just empty, silent. Even the usual hum of cleaning crews, the distant rumble of the elevators, had faded. He packed up his laptop, slung on his coat. Only when he reached the elevator did he realize something was off. The panel glowed wrong. The button for 15 was lit, but above it, another light pulsed, a number that shouldn't have been there. 14. He stepped back. Had he pressed it by mistake? Number, he'd come from 15, and the elevator had been empty. As he watched, the floor display ticked down. 15, 14, 15, 14. Like the elevator was stuck in a loop between two worlds. He jabbed the call button. The door slid open, empty, but inside, the floor indicator still flashed 14. He hesitated. Then, against his better judgment, stepped inside. The doors closed, the lights dimmed. The hum of the elevator deepened, thickened, like breath behind glass. The panel didn't respond when he pressed lobby. The doors didn't open. The car simply stopped. His phone buzzed in his pocket. Unknown number. Get out, now. He backed away. Tried the open door button. No response. Then, without sound or warning, the door slid open. Not on the lobby, not on any floor he recognized. A hallway stretched beyond him, painted a sickly yellow-gray lit by fluorescence that flickered in a slow, unnatural rhythm. The air smelled wrong, damp, metallic, faintly burned. On the wall opposite the elevator, a plaque, tarnished brass, the number barely visible beneath layers of grime. 14. He shouldn't have stepped out. He knew that. His instincts screamed at him to stay put, to hit every button on the panel until something, anything, moved. But something pulled at him, not physically, not yet. A curiosity sharper than fear. The hallway was lined with offices. The glass walls were fogged from the inside as though something breathed heavily against them. Desks sat untouched, covered in layers of dust that looked disturbed only in passing. Faint handprints smeared in circles on some of the glass. Phones sat on every desk. Ancient models, yellowed plastic, tangled cords, and one by one they began to ring. Not loudly, not all at once. First one, then another, until the whole floor seemed to vibrate with the hollow, distant sound of unanswered calls. His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Stop looking at them. They'll notice. He turned away from the ringing phones, tried the stairwell. Locked. He rattled the handle harder. No give. Behind him, the office lights flickered off, row by row. In the dark, something moved. Slow. Wet footsteps on the thin carpet. A shape slipping between cubicles. Something not human in its proportions. Taller, thinner, limbs too long, head bent wrong. He pressed himself against the stairwell door, breath frozen. The thing stopped at the edge of the darkness. It spoke without opening its mouth. You shouldn't have stayed. We don't like to be watched. The lights snapped back on. The shape was gone. He ran. Back to the elevator, slamming his palm against the call button. The doors opened slower than seemed possible, groaning on their tracks. Inside, the lights flickered red. Not white, not green, red like a heartbeat failing. He stepped inside. Pressed lobby. The elevator sank. 13, 12, 11. It wasn't supposed to go that low. Those floors were still under renovation. Below 10, the lights inside died. In darkness, something touched his hand on the panel. Not skin, not bone. Something colder, slimier. The doors opened. He wasn't in the lobby. Rows of cubicles again. Not the ones he knew. These were older, dustier. The papers scattered across the desks bore dates from decades ago. The walls sagged with mildew. Fluorescents buzzed in bursts like dying insects. Phones rang on every desk. Each one displayed the same message on cracked, greenish screens. Incoming call. Floor 14. He backed away. The lights blinked out. He heard it behind him, closer now. When the lights returned, he was alone in the elevator again. The car climbed. 10, 11, 12, 13. It should have skipped. 14. The doors opened. His office. Floor 15. As though nothing had happened. He stepped out. The lights normal. The air no longer stale. His phone, still in his hand, buzzed one final time. Unknown number. You were lucky. Most don't come back up. Adrian left everything on his desk. His laptop, his files, his coffee mug. Walked out without looking back. Past the security desk. Empty. Into the night air that felt real again. The next day, he quit. Glassmere Tower was condemned 6 months later. Structural instability, the report said. Faulty wiring. Elevator malfunctions. No mention of floor 14. But sometimes, late at night, people passing the building claim they hear phones ringing from the darkened windows. And if you ever find yourself alone in an elevator stuck between floors, don't look too closely at the panel. You might see 14 blinking, waiting. Ryan Hale had always found the late shift comforting. No meetings, no distractions. Just him, a desk full of footage, and the steady hum of servers in the background. The city outside the windows was quiet and glowing, a distant sea of lights. For a video editor at Sightline Media, it was the perfect environment to focus. Tonight was supposed to be just another deadline. A feature piece on unsolved urban legends that one of the reporters had written, hastily stitched together from voiceover tracks and eerie B-roll. Ryan didn't believe in any of it, but he had to admit, it made for good engagement numbers. He poured himself a cup of lukewarm coffee, returned to his desk, and slipped on his headphones. The story was called Forgotten Floors. It covered strange reports from buildings that had phantom levels, like 13th or 14th floors never officially built, but somehow still accessed. Ryan smirked as he dragged in stock footage of dim elevators and empty hallways. Halfway through syncing the narration, the lights in the office flickered. He paused the timeline, glanced up. The strip lights overhead buzzed, dimmed slightly, then steadied. "Great," he muttered. "Don't start this again." Last month, IT blamed the flickers on a faulty relay panel. They said it was fixed. Ryan wasn't so sure. Back to work. Cut, fade, transition. He immersed himself in the edit as shaping the mood with subtle audio cues. A distant phone ring, muffled footsteps, a distorted elevator chime. He was proud of how unsettling it felt. Just as he queued up the ending, a soft notification popped up on his desktop. Unknown contact. "Don't render this." Ryan frowned. He hovered over the message. No contact name, no app logo, just a plain white box. "Okay, that's new." He dismissed it. Probably a prank notification from the overlay system. Some intern screwing around with the UI scripts. The message popped up again. Unknown contact. "Stop editing. They're listening." He minimized everything. Checked for open windows. Nothing. No chat apps, no browser tabs. Even the Wi-Fi panel showed just the office router. Then his headphones buzzed. Not a notification ping, not static. Breathing. Slow. Wet. Like someone exhaling into his ears. Ryan yanked the headphones off and spun around. Empty room. Just his reflection in the dark window. Pale, wide-eyed, headphones in hand. He stood, rubbed his face, and laughed nervously. Okay, that's enough true crime for one night. Still, something tugged at him. A chill, a pressure in the room. He clicked save, then render. The project began compiling, and the office went dark. Not just flickers this time, full blackness. The computer stayed on, but every ceiling light died at once. Then the monitors too, one by one, until only his screen remained, glowing in the gloom. On it, not the edit, a black and white image, live footage, of an elevator. Ding! The number on the display, 14. Ryan stared, frozen. The building didn't have a 14th floor. He knew this. The elevator went from 12 to 15. Everyone joked about it. Another ding. The doors slid open, and something stepped out. It wasn't fully visible. The camera glitched, pixelating the figure. Long arms, head tilted sharply. Movements jerky, like old videotape being fast-forwarded. Then the footage cut to a hallway. Office hallway. His hallway. And the figure turned toward the camera and began walking. Click. Ryan's speakers snapped on. His own voice, distorted. "I told you not to render it." He pushed away from the desk and backed toward the hallway. Behind him, a soft sound echoed. Ding. He spun. At the far end of the office, past rows of darkened cubicles, the elevator doors stood open. No lights, just a deep, unnatural black inside. Ryan ran for the stairwell. The emergency light above the door flickered as he approached. It read, "Floor 14. No, that's not right. We're on 15. He tried the handle. Locked. Then his phone buzzed. "Unknown number. Come down. You uploaded it." He hadn't. He hadn't hit upload. Only render. His phone buzzed again. They're already here. The air grew thick. He turned and saw the monitors in the edit bay blinking back on. Not with his desktop, but each showing different angles of the building. Staircases, basements, conference rooms, all empty, except one feed. A single blinking cursor in a dark room, the live caption beneath it, "Editor's Bay, 15th floor." The cursor turned. Ryan stepped away from the screen, heart hammering. The elevator chimed again. Ding! He ran. Not to the exit, but to the server room. The emergency backup there had an override panel. If he could trip the fire protocol, the system might force open the emergency exit on the ground floor. He keyed in the code. Nothing. The lights in the server room began pulsing. Slow, red. From somewhere deep in the building, a phone began to ring. Rotary. Metallic. Impossible. Ryan slammed the panel. Nothing. Then a new screen blinked on beside the servers. The footage again, only now. The figure was in the hallway, outside the server room. The camera feed began glitching. Ryan backed into the racks of hard drives. The air smelled wrong, metallic and damp. He clutched his phone, typed one desperate message to the unknown number. "What do you want?" It responded instantly. "Delete the edit." He froze. That was it. He bolted back to his desk, ignoring the cold air pressing behind him, the lights dying one by one as he passed. The project was still open. He highlighted the file. Hit delete. The screen glitched, went black, then returned to normal. The lights snapped back on. Office fans whirred. The hum of servers returned. The elevator bell dinged again, but this time, when Ryan peeked, the panel read, "For lobby, number 14. No figure." He stepped inside, heart in his throat, pressed the ground floor button. The elevator descended. No stops, no static, no breathing, just soft music. When the doors opened, the lobby was lit, empty, still. Outside, the streets of the city stretched out under sodium orange lamps. Ryan walked straight to his car, never looking back. The next morning, he tendered his resignation. He didn't explain. He didn't even clear his desk. Weeks later, he saw a clip on social media, a re-upload of the Forgotten Floors edit, complete with the distorted audio and fake elevator footage. He nearly threw his phone, but the edit wasn't his. Someone had re-edited it, changed the footage. It was going viral again. The comments filled with "This feels cursed" and "I heard breathing during this part." Ryan only watched once, then he deleted the app. He knew what would happen next, and it wouldn't be him this time. Nathan Clark had only been with the company for 2 months. It wasn't his dream job, IT technician for a logistics firm buried in a steel and glass corporate park. But it paid well, and the building was sleek, modern, and clean. The kind of place with fingerprint scanners instead of ID cards, break rooms stocked with premium coffee pods, and motion-sensing lights that knew when you stepped into a room. It was the lights that first made him uneasy. It wasn't something he could explain. Not really. Every other room lit up smoothly, predictably. But one particular office, room 6C near the back of the second floor, always stayed dark. The kind of dark that swallowed light instead of reflecting it. You could wave your arms, jump around, flick the switch manually. Nothing. Nathan had only gone in there once. On his first week, he was replacing a damaged Ethernet panel. The supervisor had unlocked the door, muttered something about storage overflow, and left him to it. Nathan remembered stepping in and immediately noticing how quiet it was. No vents humming, no footsteps from the hall. The lights didn't come on. When he turned his phone flashlight on, the beam barely reached past a few feet. Dust floated unnaturally slow in the air. He finished the job quickly and left with a strange headache pulsing behind his eyes. After that, he avoided the room. No one ever asked him to go back. No one mentioned it. He assumed it was just one of those forgotten spaces in an overly complex building layout, until last Tuesday. Nathan had stayed late to troubleshoot a server issue. The company had migrated to a new system, and something wasn't syncing properly with the warehouse dispatch records. It was just him and the night security guard, an older man named Reggie, who mostly watched basketball on his tablet and nodded politely in passing. At around 11:30 p.m., a system alert popped up on his terminal. New device connected. Node 6C. He frowned. That was the room. Room 6C hadn't been used in weeks. He double-checked the equipment list. Sure enough, a terminal was now online from that room, reporting successful connection to the internal network. He rubbed his eyes, clicked into the remote diagnostics, and tried to ping the device. It responded immediately. Active, but the name assigned to the terminal was wrong. User, Nathan Clark. His blood went cold. He glanced over his shoulder, half expecting someone to be standing there. The office was empty. He messaged Reggie on Teams. "Hey, anyone else still in the building?" A minute passed before the reply came. "Nope. Just you and me, man." Nathan stood up. He wasn't the jumpy type, but something felt off, like the air had gotten thicker. He walked to the break room, splashed water on his face, and stared at his reflection in the window. Behind him, the office lights dimmed slightly, only for a second. He turned. Everything seemed normal again. He went back to his desk. Another message popped up. From Internal Terminal 6C. "You're not supposed to be here." He blinked. That wasn't possible. Those terminals didn't support chat. He tried to trace the message source, but the system froze, screen glitching slightly before resetting. The hallway to room 6C had gone dark. He looked up from his monitor, heart thumping. The rest of the office still glowed normally under cool white light, but the stretch of corridor where 6C sat was pitch black, unnaturally so. The emergency lights, supposed to remain on no matter what, weren't working. A low hum filled the air, barely audible, like a fluorescent light on its last breath. He radioed Reggie. "Hey, I think we've got a power issue near 6C. Want to check it together?" Reggie responded, voice unusually quiet. "I'd rather not go down there again." Nathan paused. Again. The line clicked off. He grabbed a flashlight from the supply drawer and made his way down the corridor. As soon as he stepped past Office 6B, the temperature dropped. His breath clouded in the beam of the flashlight. The door to 6C stood slightly ajar. Inside, everything was wrong. The room was no longer filled with boxes and forgotten furniture. It was empty, except for a desk, a single chair, and a terminal that glowed faint blue in the darkness. On the screen, lines of text scrolled. "Hello, Nathan. You came back." "Why?" He backed up a step, then another. The room whispered, not in words, but in sounds that tickled just at the edge of understanding. His flashlight flickered, then died. The only light came from the terminal. The air in the room thickened, pressing against his skin like warm jelly. He reached toward the door, just a few steps now, when the screen changed again. "We don't want to hurt you, but we need someone." From the corners of the room, shapes stirred, not fully formed, but present, darker than the dark, bending the air around them. Faces just a little too far away to focus on. Nathan bolted. He didn't remember the hallway, only the slamming of his shoes against tile, the cold air chasing him like a wind that wasn't really wind. He made it back to the stairwell, slammed the door behind him, and didn't stop running until he reached Reggie at the security desk. Reggie looked up, saw the look on Nathan's face, and slowly turned off his tablet. "I told him not to unlock that room again," he said quietly. "Every time we try to shut it off, it comes back online, like it's looking." Nathan nodded, still catching his breath. "We need to cut the connection." Together, they accessed the building's internal server room. Reggie showed Nathan a panel hidden behind a locked cage, a switch that hadn't been used in years. Nathan flipped it. All terminals in room 6C gone. He ran a full scan. No more devices connected from that node. No more messages. The lights in the hallway flickered back to normal. Nathan returned to work the next morning, groggy but determined. He filed a report with the regional systems manager. Room 6C was unstable and dangerous. The ticket was marked closed, scheduled for decommission. The door to room 6C was sealed shut permanently a week later. Bolted, welded, a caution sign placed across it. Months passed. Nathan stayed, got promoted. People forgot about the room. But Nathan didn't. Sometimes when he walked the second floor, he felt something behind the door. Watching, waiting, but it never reached out again. Whatever it was, he'd shut the lights off before it fully woke up.